Okay, what's today?
Sunday.
Easter. It's Sunday, yeah. It's Easter Sunday. And Easter is the time of year that we take to remember the most important thing that Jesus did. Collect my thoughts where I don't know where to begin. Jesus was arrested by the Jews, and he could have just done this and everybody dropped dead or disappeared, or he could have teleported, to use a modern term, from one place to another. He could have avoided being arrested, but he didn't. He let them arrest him. They took him into the judgment hall. They had what was essentially a mock trial. It was not a real trial. They hired false witnesses to testify against him. And then the Roman soldiers beat him with a whip. We don't really know how many times they beat him. We commonly think it was 39 times because that was the limit in the Mosaic law. But it was the Romans who beat him, and they weren't bound by the Mosaic law. We don't know how many times they hit him with a whip. The Bible says that he was whipped in order to provide us with healing. Now remember, he didn't have to do that. But he chose to because he loved us and he wanted to provide us with the healing. They wove together a crown of thorns, and these thorns were probably about yay long, and they wove them together, and I don't have the skill to weave that kind of thing, so I don't know exactly how they did it, but they wove it together and they put it on his head, and that hurt, and they pretended to worship him. They teased him. They made fun of him. They took him out to the cross, and they put nails in his hands and in his feet to hold him to the cross. And we don't know if it was actually this cross member or if it was this type of cross. This one actually has a little more historical support, where he had his hands over his head like this. When he was crucified, we don't really know which one they used. But they nailed him. And imagine how much that would hurt to put it. Have you ever stepped on a goat head?
I stepped on a nail.
And you've stepped on a nail.
It almost went through my
Yeah, and it hurt. And this would have hurt more. As the time went on, they put a spear through his side. And the Bible says that blood and water ran out, and that was a sign of extreme distress. You know, Jesus didn't deserve this treatment. He didn't deserve it at all. He was the only human who walked this planet who has never sinned. Now, all the other humans, all the rest of us, we deserve it. The Bible says that the wages of sin is death, and that everyone has sinned. We've all messed up. We have all rebelled against God at some point in our lives. We all deserve to die. Jesus did not deserve to die. He was perfect. He was sinless. But he chose to let them do this, to pay our price, so we don't have to. We don't have to suffer this way. We don't have to spend eternity in hell suffering the throes of death for all of eternity. Because he did this for us. Because Jesus died for us, we get to go to heaven. If we accept this gift he gave us, then we get to go to heaven, and we get to spend forever with him. And we won't step on goat heads anymore in heaven. We won't get hurt. We won't get sick. We won't have bum knees anymore.
We'll be invincible.
We'll be invincible in heaven. That's right. And Jesus did this for us so that we can go in heaven and be with him in heaven. And that is cool, isn't it? Now, Easter, there's a lot of Easter eggs floating around, right? A lot of different Easter eggs.
The part I am yelling at if you don't see any Easter eggs on the park.
The park next to us is covered in Easter eggs in preparation for this morning. Some eggs have chocolate in them. We had some this morning, had bubble gum in them. Yeah. Some are shaped like jelly beans shaped like eggs, right? Sometimes there's money or toys inside of Easter eggs. This is my favorite. You know why? Because it doesn't break when you drop it. It's empty. And you know why that's my favorite? It reminds me that after Jesus was crucified and he was buried, he didn't stay there. He rose again from the dead, and that tomb is empty. Just like this egg. That means that even though my body's going to wear out someday and the body will die, it isn't going to stay that way. I will go to heaven. I will rise again, just like Jesus rose again. My tomb will be empty too, someday, because of what he did for me. Okay, let's sing a song. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. Since Jesus Christ came in and cleansed my heart from sin, I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. Since Jesus Christ came in and cleansed my heart from sin, I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. Since Jesus Christ came in and cleansed my heart from sin, I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. I'm in, right out, right up, right down, right happy all the time. Since Jesus Christ came in and cleansed my heart from sin,